Let me finally ask, we're now in the midst of really quite a bit of hysteria with Trump's election. There are a lot of people around who normally would be very concerned about witch hunts and assault on civil liberties and all this. You're working for some foreign government and your loyalty is suspect. As is happening, Russians are coming. The Russians are coming, you know, and and I just wonder, how do you respond? The same James Clapper who lied to the Senate Intelligence Committee about whether there was this massive collection of data is now right front and center saying, you know, the Russians represent an existential threat to America. Anybody who, you know, takes a different view is threatening our security. And we're back in a kind of McCarthyite Cold War thing here. And you were inside the NSA. What do they really know about? Okay, first of all, what I don't understand, the information that we learned from Julian Assange is information I think we had a right to have. You know, what did Hillary Clinton, our Secretary of State, a government employee, what had she, after leaving in 2013, say to Goldman Sachs and for $750,000? I think that's information we had a right to have. But leaving that aside, what is this about, you know, the Russian hacking, the Russian? You are inside of the NSA.
Well, they come out by saying that they call it with high confidence. They say
the 25-page report they've issued.
But they say that with high confidence. Now that's the first clue that they don't have a shred of evidence that it's true. Because if they claim some confidence level, that means they don't have the evidence unless they present it so you can look at it and say, well, is this beyond a reasonable understanding or point that would allow you to say, yeah, they probably did it, you know, but the point was that I've been trying to making and did recently on television and so on is that NSA should have a record. If it was a hack coming in across the network, NSA's got a record of it. And if they transferred data out and then transferred that data electronically across the network to WikiLeaks, then they should have a record of that also. Because they've got so many collection points, they've got tens of thousands of access points in the network that collect and sort data.
So they should have documentation. This material went to Julian Assange somewhere from a Russian. Instead, they gave us these Tor points or something that anybody can use.
Well, but even that, they've deployed hundreds in the European area. They've deployed hundreds of trace route programs. And that means that they can trace the route of every packet being sent across the network, billions of them every day, you know. So the point is that they should at least have a fragment of. They may not be show every packet that went to WikiLeaks from the Russians, but they should have some of them.
Yeah.
So it's not a question of, in other words, if they're going to say something, and the real issue is who passed the data to WikiLeaks. It's not how many people tried to hack the DNC, because every country in the world tries to hack anything that's available in the U.S. China, Israel, everybody. And we hack everybody else too. So hacking is done worldwide by everybody. That's not the issue. The issue is who passed the data to WikiLeaks. And so far, no one has produced a shred of evidence to show any of the people who attempted to hack, which is probably most of the major countries in the world, hacked the DNC and any other. Hillary was a prime target as a Secretary of Defense. She's a prime target.
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State. I'm sorry. When she was Secretary of State, she was a prime target automatically for all governments around the world. So you know they were trying to get to her. So it's not a question of who's hacking who, because everybody's hacking everybody. The question is who passed the data to WikiLeaks. That's the real issue.
Well, I personally don't agree with that. I think the real issue is this data we had a right to see.
I meant in terms of the Russians did it. The Russians did. That's the real issue.
But then, you know, this other thing about, you know, shoot the messenger and go to the motives of the whistleblower. My own view is, whether it's you or Snowden or anybody else, I really don't care about the motives of the whistleblower. I care about the information that has been revealed.
Yeah.
And if that shows, what are those magic words? Waste,
corruption, fraud, waste, and abuse.
Corruption, fraud, waste, and abuse. That's information the American public has a right to have.
Right.
They're using our money. They're supposed to be protecting us. And if they're involved in waste, corruption, fraud and abuse, then, you know, we have a right to know that. Our media has a right to know, and a need to know about it. And that's been lost in this whole business here.
Yeah. Well, they always try to divert from the real issue, the central core issues, and the government is trying to do that. And it's like It's like the Wizard of Oz. We're not supposed to pay attention to the man behind the curtain, and that's really the theme here. Always be diverted to something that's not relevant.
And so the bottom line here, finally, is if it happened, you have to really wonder why they haven't produced the evidence. And their argument would be, I've seen this in different places, well, we'll compromise methods and sources. And you've been there with the methods and sources.
Yeah, they're already compromised. They're already on the web. All you have to do is Google things like NSA and Treasure Map, or NSA and any of the other muscular programs, or the Bull Run program, or the internal tapping programs. You'll see a lot of them referenced there, though. Fairview, Stormbrew, Blarney. That gets involving all of the companies in the U.S. Internal service providers for the internet, plus the phone companies. All of them, 30 of them total, at least, according to the Blarney slides, are participating with them, sharing all this data and information with NSA. So the data's already been out there, and it's not a question of. I mean, we've spent tens of billions of dollars every year trying to pick this data up.
So you're saying, using their phrase of high confidence, you're saying with high confidence,
yes,
as somebody who was inside the system.
I mean, I know they lie to each other internally too, so it's a matter. The whole system runs on lies.
What do you mean they lie to each other?
Yeah, they lie to each other in terms of why they want something done, or what they're doing with certain money. Internally, they move money around program to program, and they don't tell each other. They just take it. And they lie to Congress all the time. I mean, they would have meetings before they talk to Congress saying, what's our story, a corporate position here? So they would tell the corporate position. That's why I say
this
oversight.
This is within NSA.
This is within NSA. This is what I call oversight is a joke. Because the only thing they get fed is the data that they agree to tell them. They don't tell them the truth. So they're lying to everybody. That's why they lied to Congress. They lied to the public. It's a continuation of that foundation of lying.
Okay, but the deal kind of works because the average person in this country has been convinced that however they do it, and whatever their methods, it kind of works because we haven't had a second 9/11. We're not blowing up every hour now.
We've had a number of attacks now.
Yeah, we've had a number of attacks.
And how well is that working worldwide? It's not. That's the point.
It's not working worldwide, and we keep backing the wrong people like... my beef with Hillary is in Syria. We end up being in bed with Al Qaeda and its agents. So the intelligence, in terms of actually learning what's going on in the world, is quite flawed, dangerous. But the average person watching this will say, "Well, but they must be doing their job." So let me ask you point blank: do you know of any single case, without getting you in trouble with the law again? Do you know of any single case where this massive collection of data has stopped or caught a terrorist?
No. No.
Not a single one.
Not one. I mean, the only one that they claimed when the Leahy Committee, the Judiciary Committee, challenged Alexander at the time, General Alexander, director of NSA, when they challenged him to prove he claimed 54 cases, right? Of terrorist attacks that were stopped by this bulk collection. And so the Leahy Committee challenged him to say, prove it. And he ended up proving absolutely none of them. The only one he could claim at the end was a fellow who transferred $8,500 to Al-Shabaab in Africa.
A charitable front.
Charitable front, yeah. Which this is not a terrorist attack, okay? So
what you just said is one of the most damning things I've ever heard as a journalist. This whole thing, we're going to collect data on everybody in the world, and we have a right to do it. No one else has a right to do it. We get really upset if any other government in the world does it. We're going to collect everything on everyone here and everyone else, and we're going to do it because we were attacked at 9/11. And you're telling me, based on your knowledge of this agency and everything about it, you have not discovered one case?
No, I call it one of the biggest swindles that we've been duped by.
In U.S. history.
In U.S. history, yeah. The other swindle starting up is cybersecurity. That's another one.
Well,
Okay, cybersecurity. NSA already knows all the weaknesses or many of the weaknesses in firewalls, operating systems, networks, and switches, and so on. And they are leveraging that to penetrate the worldwide network. But they don't tell anybody who needs to know that would fix it. Because if they fixed it, the windows would close. They couldn't look in. So they have had terabytes of source code that was just compromised of this information. So what that would do is give us a little bit of cybersecurity, you see. But they don't provide that knowledge to people who would fix it, because if they do, the windows close and they can't look in.
so let me understand something. Let's say they find that here we are at the University of Southern California, and we have a lot of data collection and so forth, and let's say they discover we actually have a back door in the system, or a way of people grabbing that data, or the Bank of America.
Yeah.
Bank of America, let's take it away from campus life, and can go in. They don't tell Bank of America?
No. No, because if they did, they'd fix it, and then they'd notify the manufacturer. The manufacturer would fix it. All the windows worldwide would close. So they don't. I mean, that's the reason they keep them open.
NSA wants to go through this window. They don't want it closed,
Right.
even though crooks.
Well, they have no monopoly on smart people. I mean, other people and other governments and other groups of hackers and other individual hackers can look at this and find weaknesses too. And many of them are the same ones they already know. So by not fixing them, you see, but this is the swindle. Here comes the swindle. The swindle is when you don't fix it just because you want the window in. That means everybody else in the world is vulnerable. So when they get attacked, that you can use that attack to say, we need more money for cybersecurity, but still not fix the problem. So this is the swindle. This is the next swindle. Now we're trying to start a third one with the new Cold War, which is a few trillion extra dollars into the budget for another swindle.
A new Cold War, given that the Ruskies have, 4,500 of these weapons, right? And we have another 4,500. You can destroy all life on the planet. This is not kidding around. Well, Bill Binney, thank you. And sir, do you want to turn the camera on you? You've been our director, you all right? Sir has been our outreach to folks on Facebook. And if you have any, what do you usually say at this? If you have any, why don't you get in front of camera and tell us? We have to have our director here. This is our leader. We're just props.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so basically I just want to tell you guys thank you for tuning in, as we usually do on Facebook Live. This one is on a Tuesday instead of a Thursday, which we normally do. Thursdays at 1. But thank you guys for joining us. And if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, please do that at truthdig.com/subscribe. And if you haven't donated to us, because we are independently run, we're not run by major corporations like a lot of these mainstream media companies, media networks. So if you are in the spirit of giving, you can give to truthdig.com/support and support us, because we need your help.
And then you have a program on Thursday again?
I don't think we're having one this Thursday. Yeah.
Next week.
Next week. Next week, tune in Thursday at 1. Okay? All right, I'm
Thank
going to
you.
turn this off now. All right. Thank you.